My name is Jerry Gill. Today is February 26, 2009. I'm visiting with Orlando Hazley in his home here in Tulsa as part of the State Storage Project of the Oklahoma Oral History Research Program. Orlando, appreciate you taking the time to let us visit with you today.
It's a pleasure.
Good. Maybe we'll start off kind of with the beginning. Can you tell me a little bit about where you grew up, a little bit about your family and your early life?
Okay, sure. I grew up in Enid, Oklahoma. I spent about 4 years in the state of Washington, where I went to school, went to junior high school. And I returned to Enid in 1950. And I finished high school at Booker T. Washington High School in Enid in 1952. After finishing school, I worked the summer on a construction job and then attended Langston University for 1 year, where I wasted my mama's money. And so I dropped out of school because I just didn't find an interest at that point. And I was drafted into the Army in 1954. And I served 2 years in the Army, ended up on Guam in the Pacific, and loved it. It was a beautiful place. Most soldiers despised it, but it was a beautiful place to me. I participated in football and track while I was on Guam. I also worked for Chaffee, and of course I didn't run high school track. I played football, but I didn't run high school track. But I had gone out for track, but I didn't participate.
Linda, what league did you play, and what schools did you play against in high school?
We played against Ponca City, Stillwater, Watanga. Where else did we play? Oh, No Water, Bartlesville, Chickasha, El Reno. I think that was our conference.
Did you have a pretty good football team?
Yeah, we had a pretty good football team. We thought we had until we went out to a place called Frederick, Oklahoma. And we had this hot team, and we were from the city, and Frederick was a small place, and all the guys there picked cotton. And as a matter of fact, we passed by them in the cotton field, and we all kind of laughed and said, "Look at those guys, poor fellows, you know." And we went on to the school. What we didn't realize was that about an hour after we'd been there, this truck came in full of cotton with boys all over the top of it. They got out. Those were the cotton pickers we were laughing at. They went and ate their dinner and got ready to play football, and they just beat the daylights out of us.
They ate their dinner and then ate your lunch.
They ate our lunch.
What position did you play? Were you running back?
I was running back, yeah. I was running back.
Which we call halfback in those days.
Halfback, yes. They didn't have wide receivers and things like that.
It was split T, right?
Right. We ran split T and single and double wing. So, yeah.
Well, kind of going back to growing up in Enid, and then you said where were you before you did a little bit in junior high?
I lived in Seattle. I lived in Seattle, yes.
Did there some experiences there that some values you learned for growing up as a child that childhood experiences maybe that molded you, influenced you later in your life?
Yeah, I think so, because that was the first time that I had ever attended an integrated school. And I remember so well being in that school, and I never was a good student, a super student. But once I got there and found out that there were guys in that class who were sharp, and I sat between a guy by the name of Haley Chin. The guy in front of me, his name was Chuan Wong, and there was a guy on this side of me, his name was Morris Piha, a Jewish kid. And I found out that after the regular school, they would go to a school after school. And every day they were always 9 miles ahead of the rest of us. And I was in a class of about 35 kids. And now teachers complain about that many kids, but back then that was the average. And those guys were constantly working, and I'm sitting between them. So that means you go to work. So I did. I went to work and became a pretty good student. And I've never forgotten that. Morris Piha went on in real estate and became a millionaire. I lost track of Chuan Wong and Haley Chin, but I've never forgotten them.
Who was your strongest influence on you growing up? Was your mother or someone else in the
My
family?
mom and my dad.
And your dad?
Yeah. My mom was a strong person, very strong person. As a matter of fact, I have a picture of her over here on the wall. And my dad was a little guy, but during Prohibition, he made corn liquor. And he raised hogs, he raised chickens, he always had a garden. And those things, I don't raise the hogs and the chickens, but I have a garden every year. And I've never forgotten how he could get a lot out of a little. He worked for the Santa Fe Railroad, and he was a watchman for the Santa Fe. And he didn't make much money, but doggone it, he got all the miles he could out of that money. I've never forgotten that.
And probably discipline's pretty strong in your family then.
Oh, yes. My daddy loved me dearly, but I was always one step in the grave. he would hurt you, but I never. I think I got three poundings from my dad. One was for running. After going to school, I found out I could outrun almost everybody there, even guys in high school. I could give them a good fit. So, of course, my dad was no match, and I remember I did something wrong, and he said, "Come here," and I was about 8 feet from him then, 8 or 9 feet from him. I was only in about second or third grade then, and I started backing up. He said, "Are you going to run?" And there was no doubt about it. I was going to run, and I turned to run, and he ran over me.
We know where your speed come from.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I found out real quick. And all the time he's pounding me, I'm trying to figure out how he did it. Oh gosh, I've never forgotten that. He could move. And then my mother used to laugh. She would say, when you were a child and some pigs got out and your dad chased those pigs down, and you know pigs can move, but he was very.
So y'all lived in the country then, didn't
No,
you?
we lived in the city.
So edge of town, kind of.
Yeah, we held almost the edge of town. At that time, you could, where I lived, you could raise darn near anything you wanted to. And then after my daddy built a new home, which was on the edge of town at that time, it's northwest Enid, and he raised hogs, but he never let them touch the ground. He always raised them off the ground. And he raised what they call pullets, chickens. And he would tell us on a Monday, he said, "Boys, don't make any plans for this weekend because we're going to take care of those chickens." And we would. We'd kill the chickens, and Daddy would draw them, and we'd pick them. He would draw them and burn all the pin feathers off of them and prepare them for what was the deep freeze then. We had a deep freeze bought from Sears. I'll never forget that. It was our first one. It looked like a big old white coffin. But it wasn't tough, I never missed a meal in my life unless I wanted to. But it was tough because he would buy a couple of bushels of peaches. That means we had to peel them. He would buy a bushel of, my mother canned before we started the deep freeze thing. And he'd buy a bushel or a bushel and a half of string beans. That means we had snapped them. I have 2 brothers and a baby sister. I have an older sister. I had an older sister. She passed away. So we prepared a lot of food ourselves. Plus my dad grew sweet potatoes. He grew sweet potatoes and all that other stuff. He grew all that stuff. We put it up. So like I said, I never missed a meal in my life.
So you kind of get back where you were talking about earlier about military. So after a year, you decided that you got drafted. Uncle Sam wanted you, huh?
Uncle Sam wanted me. It's the best thing ever happened to me.
Could you share a little bit about the experiences? I mean, I know you, I think you participated in track in the military.
I went off track in basic training down at Fort Chaffee, Arkansas, and of course I won the 100-yard dash and the 220. And then I went overseas, of course, to Guam, and they played football and basketball, basketball, and track, and I participated in football and track, and they had the worldwide track meet in 1955 in Rome, New York, and I qualified from Guam. What they did was, you'd have your team on Guam, You go to sort of a regional in Okinawa. They would take the winners from that and go to Tokyo. And the people that they gleaned from that group would make up the Far East Air Force team. And then you'd come back wherever the world track meet was going to be. And that year it was in Rome, New York. And the only thing I did, I won the 100-yard dash. And we won the 440 relay and the mile relay. And I wasn't a part of the mile relay at that time. I'd never had the experience of a quarter mile. And I learned a lot. I watched those guys. I started watching people in their events.
Well, Orlando, did you have some training and some coaching? Because obviously you probably had very little training in high school. I mean, you took off and ran. Did you get some training there in the military?
A little, not much. I really didn't get any formal training until I got to Oklahoma State University. And working with J.W. Mashburn and Eddie Ray Roberts, who worked with me a great deal on the starts. And of course Higgins worked with me on the starts and relaxing. I never relaxed. I mean, when I'd run, I was all strained, but he taught me how to relax. And I saw a picture of myself one time and my face was going up and down, waving. I was relaxed. And it really made a difference, in what I did.
So you were in the Army, but assigned to the Air Force.
I was in the Army, assigned to the Air Force. It was called SCARWOF, Special Category of the Army with the Air Force. It was an engineering group. And I was a clerk typist in the Army.
So I understand that your connection with OSU was through a legendary OSU coach, Ralph Higgins.
Yes.
Can you kind of share the story? Because I think then, was that the same summer that in Rome games that you ran?
That's right. Same
Colorado, was it?
Ran in Colorado, went to the AAU meet in Colorado, and he had a sprinter with him who was one of the largest sprinters I'd ever seen. He was about 6'1", weighed about 240 pounds. He could run like the wind. And his name was Hayes. I'll remember that name pretty soon. Anyway, he was really a good sprinter, and my coach introduced me to Higgins. And
military coach.
My military coach.
Knew Coach Higgins.
He knew Coach Higgins. Everybody knew Coach Higgins.
That's right.
And we started talking, and he said, "Well, where are you from?" I said, "I'm from Oklahoma." And he said, "Oklahoma?" I said, "Yeah." "Where?" I told him. And the conversation continued. And he said, "Are you interested in a scholarship?" Well, I had been offered a scholarship on the West Coast. And also the Air Force Academy offered me a scholarship. But I was a year too old, which was good. And Higgins asked me would I consider coming to OSU, and I told him yes, I would consider that. He said, "Well, if you really want to come, make sure you look me up in January when you get out of the service." I got out in November. "Look me up, and we'll see what we can do." And he said, "Are you going back to Enid after the meet?" I said, "Yes." "Do you have a ride?" "No." And Higgins took me to Enid and let me out at my back door.
So you got well acquainted on that trip. That was several hours.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. I got well acquainted with Higgins at that trip. And I did exactly what he said. When I got out, I went over and got myself, borrowed $150 from a friend of mine there in Enid. And got myself enrolled. And saw Coach Higgins, and he put me on scholarship immediately. Yes, indeed.
So you enrolled what year?
In January of 1956.
Did you run that spring then with the track team?
No.
I
wasn't eligible.
So freshmen were not eligible in those days?
Freshmen were not eligible in those days, no. So he put me with Eddie Ray Roberts and J.W. Mashburn, which was quite an experience in itself.
Now, you received a full scholarship.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And had you ever been on the OSU campus before?
Never.
And what was your first impressions when you come on campus?
Well, it was large, of course, to me then. It was large. And I've 13,000 students. Oh my God, that's monstrous. Doesn't even compare to today. But at that time, that was a lot of people. And it was nice. I stayed in Bennett Hall. I had a room in Bennett Hall. Met some fine young men, black Afro Americans, and one of them was a super scholar. Two of them were. One was from right down the street from Stillwater, and one was from Okmulgee, and they were great. There's another one from Okmulgee, but he was brilliant, but he wouldn't go to class. But he had a thing going. He would go to class, and he would when the tests were given, and he'd tell the professor, if I make an A on this test, will you give me a D? He said, sure, if you make an A on this class test, I'll give you a D. And he'd knock it wide open. That's how brilliant he was. But he didn't have any common sense. He astounded me.
Okay.
My wife and I had after I got married the summer following that, and the guys would always come to my house. Guys and gals would come to my house. And he saw me studying, and he said, what are you studying? I said, my biology test. He said, go over some of the questions, what do you have? And I'd go through my notes. He made 98, and I made 92. Golly. But he was that kind of person. Brilliant.
Well, Orlando, you were the first African American student athlete at Oklahoma State to earn a letter degree at Oklahoma State, which makes you pretty famous. You have a place in OSU history. Were you concerned that about being the only black athlete and how you might be received at OSU? Was that a concern for you?
Not really. I only ran into one student on my track team that ever questioned why I was there. Why did I choose to come to Oklahoma State University? He was a pole vaulter, third class. So I didn't pay him any attention at all. He didn't mean anything to me, but I remember his name. But that was the only problem that I had as far as the student body goes. There was no social life basically there for blacks on that campus. And
was there very much interaction between the black student athletes, that handful that were there, and the white student athletes?
No, none whatsoever. No, but the only ones that I really were my teammates. My teammates. I was close to my teammates.
Your track teammates.
My track teammates. Yeah, I was close to them. And Eddie Roberts and a number of others. I stayed around them all the time, and of course I interacted with those guys socially. But that was about it.
What was your relationship with Coach Higgins? Did you have a close relationship with him?
I had a very close relationship with Coach Higgins. Very close relationship with Coach Higgins. As a matter of fact, Coach used to go to the Sugar Bowl every year to track meets. And because it was segregated, he stopped going completely. He used to go to the Border Olympics in Laredo, Texas. And as a matter of fact, I went down there. I was allowed to go down, but I could not stay in the hotels with my friends. I couldn't, with my team, I couldn't. They put me in a hotel room that was the ceiling was about 20 feet high. It had a light on a string hanging down. I'll never forget that. And Higgins, he thought I was in a pretty good place, and he came to visit me. And he looked, he said, oh no. So we moved across the border to Mexico, to Laredo.
That's great.
And Eddie Ray Roberts went with me. And
did your teammates take up for you in these instances?
Oh yeah. Yeah. So Eddie Ray Roberts went to stay with me in Mexico, and then I'd come across in the morning and go to the track and do whatever I had to do. But he never went back down there.
Did you have some instances of restaurants not wanting to
many,
serve you also?
Yes, many times.
How did the team and you individually handle that?
Well, if I remember in Fort Worth going into a restaurant, and I knew I couldn't eat in there. I knew that, but the team went, so I went right along with them. And I had this tray filled with food, you know. And when I got up there, they told me I couldn't eat. I just left it there and walked out. And so the guys got me a sandwich later, and I ate that. And then we started stopping in at schools along the way where Higgins knew people. And I remember stopping in Lampasas, Texas, on our way to Laredo, and stopped at Lampasas and ate at the cafeteria at the school. Higgins knew those people, so I ate at the school. And but there were many situations like that. When we go to the Texas relays, I couldn't stay at the hotels. I had to stay in the black community. But it was an amazing thing. Higgins would give me so much money to support myself while I was there to pay for all my. And the lady that was in charge of the hotel, she would say, "What do you want to eat?" And I'd lay out what I wanted for breakfast, dinner, you know, lunch or dinner, and she would get it. And once my team found out,
You're actually getting a better deal than they
oh,
were.
I was getting a better deal. They wanted to come over there, and one of my favorite people, and I can't find him, his name was Jim Kingsolver. And Jim was a fantastic sprinter. He was a baseball player, on scholarship baseball, and Higgins would recruit people to run dual meets and beat you with people that he'd recruit from all the other teams, you know, disciplines. And Jim Kingsolver came over there, and we had a dozen fries. He bought shrimp, and oh, it was fantastic. He said, "Oh man," he said, "from now on, I'm coming over here with you." It was really funny.
What do you remember about Coach Higgins as a coach? What, like workouts, and what do you remember about his work ethic and his philosophy about coaching and running?
He would get you in shape if you really wanted to run and really wanted to excel. Higgins was the man to do that. The only thing that was difficult for me is that I was a sprinter, and Higgins would run me on the mile relay team. And when it came time for me to participate at the national level, like the AAU, I was always down. I'd excel through the season. But in track, you have a tendency to you peak. And once you peak, you have to kind of slack off to maintain that. And then all of a sudden you start down on the other side. Now, I would do that every year. Every year I would peak at the conference meets. And then I'd start waning a little bit. And I always thought if I could have just been in that sprint area. But I wasn't really supposed to be a sprinter according to all the stats that were gathered on me. I was supposed to have been a half miler or a quarter miler. But I only ran that on the mile relay, and that's all he trained me for. And that's when I coached kids. That's the same way I did it, and I was successful at it. I used his tactics to the T, and it always paid off for me. But sprinters, I would ask them to only run the mile relay during the state meet, and it paid off for me. We set the state record that year using those sprinters like that. I say, I want 3/4 out of you. I want one to make this team. You always had to run to make my team, and you had to challenge my team to make this team. And I picked the guy out. I knew he was weak. I said, I want you to challenge him. And 2 more quarters, one in the preliminaries and one in the finals. And it always paid off for me.
Well, Orlando, you were, I know you wouldn't brag about this, but you were one of the all-time greats in track at Oklahoma State University. You held several records for many years. You were the first African American letterman at Oklahoma State. You're in the OSU Track Hall of Fame. Is that a source of pride for you? I mean, how do you feel about that?
It is a source of pride for me because, I mean, there were some pretty good guys. So sure, just to join those guys is great. I love that. I remember when I was inducted into that, T. Boone Pickens was there, and I got a chance to meet him. And I didn't even know who he was. I finally found out who he is, but I didn't know who he was. And I think his dad was there, but I'm not sure about that. But this T. Boone Pickens, who the heck's T. Boone Pickens? But it was great. I take pride in being a part of that.
You got your large photo. You was prominently displayed in Gallagher Arena.
Yeah.
On that north entrance there.
Yes.
Can you share the story with you were telling me earlier about the young ladies were looking at your picture?
Yeah, I had two young ladies were looking at this guy in the picture, you know, and I walked up behind them and I said, "Do you know him?" They said, "Oh no, we don't know him." I said, "Well, that's me."
They said something like it was a long time ago.
Yeah, that was a long time. I said, "No, that's not you. No, 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 no." Oh boy, but I take kids over there now. I take my grandkids when I have an opportunity. I take them over to go through there to see those people that I've known over the years, and to let them know that I'm in there because I had one of my grandsons. I wanted him to go to Oklahoma State University. And that's when Les was there, Les Miles. And I'm so sorry he didn't go. He went to Texas A&M, but I wish he'd gone to Oklahoma State. And now this next one, that's where he wants to go. He's coming out next year.
To Oklahoma State?
Yeah, he wants to come to Oklahoma State.
Great.
So I hope he qualifies and gets a scholarship.
That'd be great. What, Orlando, what do you contribute to your success? Track Oklahoma State. I mean, you know, as we were talking about earlier, you didn't have a lot of coaching in high school, and really not very much in the military. What do you attribute that to?
I had role models growing up, and I knew who Jesse Owens was, and so I knew I could run. I found that out real quick that was my baby. I could run, and so I said, that's what's going to get me from point A to point B, is my ability to run. And that's exactly the way it turned out. That's all the inspiration that I had really coming along was that, and watching these guys and hearing about these guys. And because I knew I wanted an education, and I had to have a way of getting it. Fortunately, everything fell in line for me.
I was visiting with Sam Peggy's, who's one of your teammates, I think a year behind you in the track team, and he described you to me as being very disciplined and doing the work that it took, and always being there and being on time and doing the right thing. Is that a fair description?
Yeah. I'm still that way.
Right.
Yeah.
What do you consider yourself kind of a role model for those guys that followed behind you?
Yes. Yes. I do. As a matter of fact, I had a lot of the younger guys who would hang around me, and they would come to me with their problems sometimes. And I'll never forget a young man who's in Dallas now working at one of the universities. And he wasn't a super track man, but he was a diligent person and very bright. He was having trouble out of one of our teammates, one of our arrogant teammates. And he got through, he was worried, and he said, what can I do about this? And I said, did he give you a scholarship? He said, oh, no, Coach Higgins gave me a scholarship. I said, does he send you your allowance every month? He said, no. I said, is he responsible for you in any way of getting you into school? He said, no. I said, tell him to go to hell. He said, that's what I'm going to do. His name was Louis Mann. I don't know if you know Louis or not.
I knew Louis.
You know Louis? Yeah, Louis Mann. And he said, that's what I'm going to do. And Louis was just great after. He was just as happy as he could be after that.
Orlando, you were, that first year is a kind of maybe just yourself, or maybe a couple, maybe there's one other guy there, a football player, didn't stay. But then right behind you, a year later, about a half a dozen guys come on board.
Yeah.
And so, The time you graduated, which was in
1960.
60? Mm-hmm. What, how many African American athletes do we have that time? We'd gone from just a couple of you to how many?
We had one on the basketball team, out of two on the basketball team. I'm sorry, one out of St. Joseph, Missouri, Brinkley, something like that, and one out of Memphis, Tennessee, L.C. Gordon. He was the first black basketball player. And then there were two football players out of Wewoka. And one of them ended up, one quit, and one is coached and taught in Kansas City, Kansas. And he was good, he was tough. And then, of course, Sam Piggies. That was just about it. Well, we'll have to take that back. There was a baseball player that came out of Anadarko. That was good. He was very good. I remember him. But he turned pro.
Coming back to some of the major meets, and you talked about there was the Texas relays, there was the
Kansas relays,
and what was the other?
Drake
relays.
Yes.
And then some others, duels, but those were the three biggies in addition to the Big Eight and then the NCAA tournaments.
Yes, and we'd also run the Modesto relays in California, the Coliseum relays in Los Angeles, the Fresno relays, and there's one other that's right there in Los Angeles, suburb of Los Angeles. We'd run that one. And sometimes I would be out there by myself. Coach would bring the team back and leave me out there to participate in those sports, those events.
Orlando, is there any significant individual or team performances that you remember at those meets?
As far as our team?
And yourself personally?
1958 at the conference meet in Norman, Oklahoma. That was the highlight of I think, for me. I got a chance to run on the mile relay team, and I anchored the mile relay team. And going back to what I had learned in the military, I saw an old man run the quarter who was smart. And I remember taking on Delos Dodds, who is now the athletic director at the University of Texas. And Delos Dodds was a superior quarter miler, but he made a mistake and he let me run my own race, and that was bad. I kept him outside, and he wouldn't pass me, and he let me loaf all the way around the track till I got to the goal post, and then it was over then. I could make that other 110. He wasn't a sprinter, and that was a highlight for me of my whole career, is using that tactic to beat Delos Dodds.
Did you win any of the Big Eight meets or in your individual event or team?
220. I won the 220 that year, and I thought I won the 100, but I understand that when I look back at that, and I was looking at this information that I have here. This is, and I want you to look at this. This is a sort of a history of Higgins' career, and all that information is in here. And I found out that I didn't win that race.
Sometimes your memory's faulty.
Yeah, I thought I won that 100, but I didn't. D. Gibbons, I think, won it, and but he was a good sprinter too from Oklahoma. But that was the highlight for me, was that meet.
What was your best time in the 100-yard dash?
I ran 9.3 at.
It was pretty close to world record time.
That was the world record at that time. I ran that in Arkansas. I was win-aided, so I didn't get credit for it. And what upsets me is I slowed up. That day, I think 9 flat would have been easy for me, but I was so far ahead, I just slowed up. Bad mistake.
Okay. Well, so you, I was going to ask you a little bit about the track surface. At that time, the track ran around the football field there at Louisville, right?
Yes, that's right. That's right.
Was it a pretty good running surface?
It was a good surface. We had a good surface at OSU.
Cinder track.
Cinder track, Red Dog Cinder. It was a good surface. Nothing like the tracks today, but I learned something. I'm glad I was on that Red Dog Cinder. I can still walk. This new track even though the new shoes are fantastic. They'll look way about as much as this pen. Actually, one shoe is very light shoe, and but the surface is hard. And when I was 40 years old, I went to Wichita to enter a track meet, and I'd never been on that track before, and it almost killed me. I mean, it hurt. When I got through, I was in terrible pain.
Well, at age 40, what was the occasion for running?
Well, you can run. It's called the. It's an adult thing. And they still run that. And some of those little boys can run. And so I entered that. That was my last track meet. Because it hurt me so bad, I was afraid to try it again. And but that really hurt me. That track was like running on concrete, you know.
Well, see, in preseason, did you guys work out in the pit underneath
Yes,
Gallagher
sir.
Hall?
Yes, sir.
Can you share a little bit of that experience?
It was cold. It was damp.
It's dark.
And this boy's name is Bob Fischel. That's his name, Bob Fischel. Higgins recruited him. It was dark, and the baseball players had a batting net down there, and it ran from west to east, downstairs on the north side. And we'd go down there and practice. But I'll tell you what, we got in shape down there. They banked the track on both ends.
Dirt tracks,
Dirt track, and we could run down there.
Dust.
No, they damped it down.
Did
It
they?
was
Okay.
pretty damp. No dust. They had the dust problems.
The football players, they didn't damp it down. They said it just that dust in the air.
Yeah, and the football players didn't come down there anyway. They rarely came down there. It's not like what they have now. It's beautiful down there. But we used that, and we got a lot of service out of that. We were always ready to run. When Higgins took us outside, we were ready.
Well, kind of moving to the academic side, what was your major, Orlando?
I majored in physical education and science.
You intended to be a coach and teacher? Is that
Yes.
Do you remember some of your classes, maybe some of your professors? I know it's a long time ago, but
I think I would remember my English teachers and my science teachers more than any other. I remember my graduate school teachers better than I do my undergraduate teachers. Because in that undergraduate level, I was fighting for survival. And I had a lot of difficulty in English and in algebra. I despised algebra and didn't learn algebra until I started teaching. And went into a classroom, and a guy had a numbers line on his wall. And I asked him, "What is that?" He said, "That's how I teach start off with my kids, with minus numbers and plus numbers." And he just opened up for me. I said, "Oh, okay." I couldn't imagine a negative number. That just didn't stick. But when I saw that, I said, "Okay, that's great." And I've been pushing math ever since. I was good in basic math, but when it came to algebra, it hurt me. I was better at trigonometry. I don't know why. It was easier.
Of course, obviously at that time, I mean, there were not any black professors. I mean, your teachers
No.
were white.
That was something that, now I carried, all the way through OSU, I carried 18 to 19 hours. And that was a bad mistake. And I didn't realize, my problem was never with the student body. My problem was with my teachers. And the counselor that I was under was also head of the science department. And I always felt that he was never a friendly person. And I always felt that he tried to hurt me by giving me that many hours, knowing that that was not a freshman load, 18 hours. And but that didn't hit me for a number of years. Then I started realizing that that wasn't right. He shouldn't have done that. And but I survived. I survived him.
Well, you and Zella were married, as you said earlier. Velda, I'm sorry. You and Velda after your first
semester.
spring. So summer
we married that summer. We married that August.
So summer of 56.
56.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you were describing where you lived earlier. On 6th Street over where the hospital is now, is that
where
right?
the hospital is now, there were apartments all along there. And we met some wonderful friends. As a matter of fact, we are still in contact with a lot of the people that live there. There was a tennis player by the name of Don Kate. And Kate's wife was from Germany. And she became good friends with Velda. And when we make trips, we travel with them a great deal. Yeah, he was. Yeah, that was a great experience.
Did you and Velda have any favorite hangouts? Places that you went on campus, off campus?
The student union was basically the only place available to us.
Student union and home, huh?
Yeah, that and home. That's right.
Was there any were there any group activities that a lot of the black students would do things together?
No, none whatsoever.
And you'd indicated earlier there really wasn't a lot of social interaction between African American students and white students at that time?
There was not. No, there wasn't. As a matter of fact, on campus, one of my teachers, that was another one too, I went into a square dance class. And I loved square dance. I had learned square dance as a kid. And but he didn't know that, and I didn't tell him. But when I went in that class, and I had a lot of respect for him too. And he told me that day after class, he said, "I don't want you to come back tomorrow." He said, "I'm going to have to find you a dance partner." And what they did was they got together to find out who would be willing, what girl would be willing to be my partner. And so this girl volunteered, and that was the end of that. And I went back to class, and that was the end of that. Matter of fact, about 10 or 15 years ago, I was coming out of a store out there, and she spoke to me. She knew me. I didn't know her, but she sure knew me.
Deja vu experience.
And she said, "I was your dance partner." Oh, I said, "I'll be doggone." She remembered me.
You made an impression.
Yeah.
You must be a pretty good dancer.
She remembered. I was a good square dancer. I told him, I said, "I know how to square dance now."
Orlando, do you have? You've been back to Oklahoma State in your career as a coach and teacher.
Yes.
Do you feel that the OSU experience for African American students has improved today? Is it different than in your time in some ways?
Of course it is. The thing is, it's more integrated now. There are more things to do there now. Students really don't depend on black friends or white friends. It's so much freedom there, and it's so easy to be there that they have their own thing, and that doesn't bother them. When I was there, I was off by myself. When Sam came along, and he and his girlfriend, who became his wife, and a guy by the name of LeBlanc from Oak again, a few others, we would meet at our apartment, and for a little, it wasn't a party, it was just sort of a social. That didn't happen very often, but that was the gathering place, was our apartment. And but yeah, things are different now because those kids have their own interests. They have their fraternities and their sororities, and my fraternity blew up on the campus. They made some dumb mistakes and got kicked off. After all the trouble it was to get them on there, they got kicked off. And
is that Alpha Phi Alpha?
Alpha Phi Alpha, yeah. And but kids are changing now. What the values that we had then, they don't exist anymore.
Orlando, kind of changing a little bit. Can you tell me a little bit about your career after you left Oklahoma State University?
Yeah, I started teaching at Moon Junior High School in Oklahoma City in 1960. And I was hired first. I did my practice teaching there. And then I was hired in an elementary school. But once they found out my record, the director of personnel in Oklahoma City said, "We want you someplace else." So he called in the principal that I had done my practice teaching under, and said, "Look at this." And he hired me out from under the other principal. So, and I spent 5 years there, but I met a man that I had known in my youth, and also my godfather. Both taught school there. And it gave me an experience that I'll never forget, because I had never been around my godfather that much. Although I remembered him from being a small boy. He went to St. Joseph, Missouri to teach, and then to Oklahoma City, so I wasn't around him very much. So that was quite a privilege. And so I got to work with some people that were fantastic, and I learned some tough lessons about people, because I was quite, what's the term that I want to use? I found fault with everything. You know, I was quite critical of kids and stuff like that. I was terrible, you know. And I'll never forget a kid that was dirty and had on this old coat all the time, you know, and he wore this coat in school, and I just hated that. And this guy said, "What are you doing after school?" "What do you want to do, Coach?" He said, "I want you to go someplace with me." And he took me down south of 4th Street there in Oklahoma City, where the Y used to be. And took me down in a place, he said, "That boy that you were talking about," said, "he lives back in there." And talking about humbling, that hurt me so bad. We went back to school, and we set up a program that any kid who wanted to take a bath during class, during the physical education, we all took physical education. At that time, I was in physical education. We had towels, we had soap, we had washing machines, we had all that. Said, if you want to wash your clothes and take a shower, it's fine. And you'd be surprised how many boys took advantage of that. And that changed my life. That was an experience that changed my life. I had one other big kid, 6 feet tall, 7th grade. And he was always playing with these little kids, playing with them, you know, and picking at them, and it just irritated me to no end. And I grabbed him one day and said, "What's your problem? Why are you always playing with these little kids? How old are you?" He said, "I'm 11. I turned that boy loose. I said, "Son, you just enjoy yourself. You go right ahead and play." He was huge. I'm telling you, "I'm 11, he said. I said, "Oh, God." I've never forgotten that. And I became more interested in people then, in kids. And that never changed.
So you were 5 years at Moon Junior High?
I was 5 years at Moon Junior High School, and they hired me here in Tulsa. Yeah.
And you spent the rest of your career in teaching and coaching in the Tulsa school system?
Yes, I was at Washington High School from 66 to 77. And then I went as principal.
Track coach first here, is that right?
Track coach, science teacher. And then I became a dean of boys. Then I became an assistant principal under under Smith. Is that right? No, I was dean under Smith. And when H.J. Green, who was a graduate of OSU, became principal at Washington, he asked me would I become one of his assistant principals. And I did. And I stayed there until 77. And I took principalship myself at McLean High School in 77. Stayed there until 86 or 87.
So you were principal at McLean was your last teaching, your last administration area.
Yeah.
Well, now, when you were at Booker T, as science teacher and coach, you won some state championships in track, as I recall.
Yeah, I won 2 state championships, one for boys and one for the girls. And that was quite an experience, because I had some super kids. I still have pictures of them. It was wonderful. But the girls, I found out, were more competitive than the boys. They were cutthroats. They were fantastic, and they won. I didn't really think we could win that championship, but we did. You know, I enjoyed it. I'm sorry that I didn't really stay in coaching a little bit more. I would have liked that, but it did get more difficult. Kids got where they didn't want to work like I wanted them to work, and I couldn't see getting any good results out of them doing what they wanted to do. So I went into administration, and I was getting near retirement anyway. So I wanted to put some cash back that would support me in my old age. So I took advantage of it.
You were dean of students, assistant principal, and then you were principal.
Yeah.
So you at McLean, but before that you were assistant principal at
Washington. Yeah, I went into the dropout program after that, and then I retired.
Are there some significant things you remember in your coaching and teaching career? I mean, of course, obviously the 2 state championships, but there's some recognition or accomplishments that stand out in your mind?
For whom?
For you and for your teams or your schools at that time? Just professionally for you. There's some highlights in your career.
Well, being associated with the football teams at Washington was a great thing. I got where the kids, I got more out of the kids than I did anything. I really did. They inspired me. I remember going into Washington High School, and people have never realized this. I went into Washington High School, and the kids there dressed better than I did. They had dressed up Friday, but to me they were dressed up every day. And I remember a young lady walked up to me and said, "Mr. Hazley, I'm so happy that you took a job here at Washington High School and you're on our faculty." I said, "Thank you very much." It was 2 weeks later before I found out she was a student. I thought she was a teacher. I thought that's how sharp they were. And I had to change my wardrobe because they dressed. And teachers dressed. That's not that way. Well, it has changed in Tulsa now. They sort of went back that way. But when the teachers started wearing jeans, and the women came in their sloppy jeans, and they were two sizes larger than things sort of went down.
Was it a magnet school at that time when you were there?
It became a magnet school while I was there. It was not when I first got there. But it became a magnet school in '72.
You think that was a good thing for the school, that change? You think it was positive, or?
Yes and no. The participation among black students went down a little bit compared to the things that they were in before. I saw that happen. The discipline changed. We had more drugs because there were kids who could afford them coming into the school. And then, the other kids started dealing with them a lot, using them. Before that, it was cheap wine and cigarettes. But the drugs sort of came in. If the kids used them prior to that, they didn't bring them to school. That wasn't a problem at the school. But after that, we started finding them. Went into a room one time and almost got drunk myself. The teacher had left that room open, and they knew it, and they went in there and smoked their pot right in the middle of the darn school. So, but little experiences like that. But overall, I had a fantastic teaching career. I did. I met some wonderful students. I met some super teachers. I mean, top notch. I would go the distance with them because they were fantastic. And the students were too. Reuben Gant, who was the student at that OSU, was one of them. Yeah, he was hard to coach because he was always afraid he was going to look bad. He could have been a discus champion, but he didn't like turning in that circle. I don't think he was a very good dancer. I always picked my field event people by the way they danced. I found me a good dancer. I said, "Hey, I can get something out of this one." I really did, and it worked for me.
Well, there's some things about your civic and community church activities that you'd share with us?
Yeah, I'm a Rotarian, and I've been with the Rotary Club for about 25 years. I sing with a group of Rotarians called the Rotary Men of Note. There are 38 of us in that group, and we travel throughout this area. And sometimes we go to international conventions. I've been to I've been to 3 of them, I think. Portland, Oregon, Banff, Canada, and in Mexico City. And my church, of course, I sing in the choir at the church. I've been singing almost all my life. And that's the highlight of my life now, is being in those choirs, participating in Rotary. I don't do much fraternity. I'm financial, but I don't really participate that much, except when they need money. I participate, but otherwise.
You sing in a choir in your church as well?
Yeah, I sing in a choir in my church. Oh, yes, indeed.
Now you have some some hobbies since you retired too, I understand.
Yes.
I think woodwork and some things like that.
Woodwork and gourds. I'm into gourds, and I wish there was somewhere you could stop this thing. I'd get you some of them and show them to you, because they're fascinating. A lady introduced me to gourds, and I immediately saw where I could do something with them. So I started decorating them and carving them.
What kind of handiwork and carpentry work do you do? Woodwork? What kind of things?
Almost anything. I can sheet rock. I did this room. This was a duplex that turned into a single dwelling 43 years ago. So wood finishing, I love to finish wood because it's always a challenge. And I like those kinds of things.
Is that something you learned with some of your classes in school, or did you just pick it up
learned
naturally?
I learned those things in junior high school and high school. I started the manual training at that time was strong, and it gave boys, and not girls though. The girls weren't in that. Now, for a time they did put girls in, but now you don't find it hardly at all at the high school level, or junior high school level. But I learned how to use tools, hand tools, and I loved it. I fell in love with it. My brother did the same thing, and he's now a contractor in Oklahoma City. So I took those things, and when people introduce something to me, I'll try anything that has some craft to it, or skill. I'll try it.
Orlando, you were talking about some of your gourds that you had.
Yeah.
You want to show us a couple of your handiwork?
I'll show you a couple of them. This is one that I make here. You can see that little fella. You see that little thing? And I put musicians on it and all that. And it's just a fun thing to do, and I give them away. And
see if I can get it in there a little bit.
I've never sold one and don't intend to. But of course, you know I'm into music, so that's my music gourd.
Okay.
And I have one here that my wife had some sewing material, and I used that sewing material to include on this gourd. And it's just a hobby. That's all it is. It's a fun thing for me. It keeps me busy and out of trouble. This one sits on a little stand. I make little stands out of them, and you can stand it up like that. At family reunions, I put them on tables as here's something a friend gave me a design for a flute, an Indian flute, and I made a couple of them and poured the metal around them. It was quite an experience.
Okay.
It's quite an experience, and it does play. I have two of them, and when I make something, I always try to make two. And this is not round, although it appears to be perfectly round. It is not. I did that by hand, and with a little block plane, so it is not round, but it appears to be. But it was fun making. That's some of the things I waste my time on.
Well, we talked a little bit about your, some of your community and civic activities. What about your family, Orlando? Tell us a little bit about your family.
I have my wife and I have been married. Will be 53 years in August. I have 2 children. We did have 3. We had a boy born in Stillwater, but we lost him. And I have a daughter, Natasha Consuela, and she attended OSU. And she is now in Orange, Texas. She has 3 boys and a girl. The girl finished the University of Texas. One of the boys will be finished at Texas A&M in the spring of this year, 09, sorry. And then I have another one at Texas Tech. He's a wide receiver also, and he'll be a junior next year. And then his younger brother Trey will be a senior next year at West Orange Starks in Orange, Texas. And I'm hoping he'll end up going to OSU. And I have another grandson. I have a son. His name is Orlando Jeffrey Hazley, and he's an electrician. And he has a son in two daughters, and his son is a fine musician. He plays the viola, and he wants to go to Oklahoma State University.
Right.
And I'd like for him to play sports, but he likes the viola. So I don't know if he's going to ever play anything other than.
Does he live in Tulsa
No,
area?
he lives in Dallas.
In Dallas.
He lives in Dallas. Matter of fact, what's that? Mesquite. But he loves that viola, and I have to give him credit. He can play it. So.
Yeah, that's great. Well, what kind of looking back, Orlando, what accomplishments and special recognition in your career, in your life, gives you the most satisfaction?
That's difficult. I would say becoming a good citizen is one of them. Being able to become a good citizen, have some good kids, having an opportunity to work with good people. The sports thing, to me, has always been a means to an end, but never an end in itself. And I think that's, and I don't want to get into that too much, but to me that's something that kids don't look at today. They look at sports as the whole ball of wax, and it's not. It's using sports to get someplace else, you know. And I used sports to get to where I wanted to go. And fortunately, I had, even though I thought I was overburdened with courses, at least I had courses that moved me toward graduation. I don't see that happening today with athletes. I see athletes being kept eligible to play the sport, but it doesn't mean that they're going to graduate. And I think the university's made a mistake there. But that's not what you asked me. Being able to do things for the community and for other people. What I do for the carpentry and all that, I do free. I don't charge people for that. I do it free, and they just buy the materials. And I get a kick out of it. It keeps me younger. You know, I'm 75 years old now, and every day I get's great. Because a lot of the guys that I've known over the years, they're not with us anymore.
Well, you were recognized by the OSU Black Alumni Association recently, or 2 or 3 years ago.
2 years ago.
As a trailblazer.
Yes.
They identify one individual a year,
Yes.
which is pretty special.
Yes.
Do you feel like a trailblazer? Do you help blaze the trail for some African American students that followed you at Oklahoma State?
I guess so. I had never looked at myself as a trailblazer. You know, people put that on you, but I went there for a purpose. You know, it just happened to be me. It could have been anyone in sports. As a matter of fact, the lady that I can't think of her name now. I know her. Worked with her husband that was there before me as a black student. Davis.
Nancy Davis.
Oh yeah, I know Nancy, and I worked with her husband, who was a very good English teacher. But I've never looked at myself as a trailblazer as such, although I guess I fall in that category.
Well, you helped mentor a lot of, particularly the black student athletes there for the 2 or 3 or 4 years after you came in, and help them live in their adjustment and their adjustment.
You say, did I do that? No, I didn't. I didn't. The way when I came out of college, I was in a survival mode. You know, find a job, go to work, be successful, be able to raise my kids, things like that. So I really wasn't focused on the university. I didn't get focused there until I really went into graduate school. And then I started focusing more on in that area.
Did you do graduate work at Oklahoma State?
I did graduate at Oklahoma State and Central State at Edmond. Well, Central State of Oklahoma, whatever they call it now. I did work there too, and also at the University of Colorado. But I did a great deal at Oklahoma State University, and that was a great experience. Now that was a fantastic experience. some of those teachers that were working in that master's degree program and the doctoral degree, although I wasn't doctoral subject matter, so I didn't have to worry about that. But it was just great to talk to people with that kind of experience, and because you get a chance to talk more with the professors in graduate school than you do in undergraduate school.
Do you remember some that stand out in your mind, especially?
I can't think of their names right now, but there were two that really, Dr. Neff in science, geology.
John Neff.
John Neff. Yeah, he stood out. He was good. He was good, and he was a friendly person, you know, and you could bond with a person like that, and you could talk to him. And there were two other professors, but I cannot think of their names right now. But they were great. I truly enjoyed them.
Well, have you maintained contact with some of the people you went to school with, particularly the undergraduate years?
Yes. I'm very close with Sam Piggies. I stay in contact with him a great deal. And so, but some of the other guys I haven't been able to find. Tom Birch, who's a great runner, lives right east of us in Arkansas, over near Rogers, Arkansas. I'm in contact with him all the time, and we call each other. And also another guy from Enid, Tom Harlan, he called me about 2 weeks ago. He wants to have a reunion, but getting that together is very difficult because I've lost track of some of the people that I would really like to see. Kenny Covert's in New Jersey. I know where they are, most of them. Eddie Ray Roberts is somewhere in Texas raising Appaloosa horses. That was his favorite horse, and I can see why. But I don't know exactly where he is because I'd like to see him, you know, eye to eye, and I haven't been able to do that. I don't know. I can't find him.
Orlando, looking back on your time at OSU, looking back on your career in education, how do you hope people remember Orlando Hazley? How do you want to be remembered?
As being somebody that respected other people, somebody who you could talk to, somebody who did his best to do his best. Because I've truly done that. I've tried my best to do all that I could do, and I've had to fight some battles along the way, but we all have to fight those battles. I don't worry about that anymore. And most of the people that gave me problems, they're dead now, so I don't worry about that.
Anything you would do differently? Anything you wished you'd have done that you didn't?
Yes, if I were to go back, I think I would stay in the classroom. I wouldn't become a principal. I would stay in the classroom. I would work closer with kids. I didn't realize when I finished college that I had a pre-med major. I didn't know that. I didn't find that out for 20-some years. And when they started going through the courses and things, I said, I have that. But I would not have become a doctor. No, that's sort of binding to me. It makes you some money maybe, but money isn't everything.
Have you, Orlando, I noticed when I drove up in your drive here, your truck has some OSU Alumni Association stickers on it.
Yes.
Proud to see that.
Yeah.
Have you stayed connected with the university through the years?
Oh, yes. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. I have 2 or 3 stickers I have never put on. I put them out in my shop. I have a shop out in my garage. I have a wood shop out in my garage. And people who get sick, I tell them I can take care of some of their problems out in my garage if they give me an opportunity.
Well, did you help direct some students to Oklahoma State University in your coaching and teaching career? Did you help
yes.
get some kids to OSU?
Yes. Oh, yes. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Reuben Gant was one of them. I was quite proud of him. I had some others that I wanted to go, but they went other places. You know how that is. One of my great sprinters went to Kansas State University because of DeLos Dodds. You know, things like that. But that's so they went to school. That's the whole ball of wax. They went to school.
Orlando, there's you've been a pioneer at Oklahoma State University, although you don't necessarily see yourself that way. But as the first African American letterman at Oklahoma State University, it's a pretty special place in the history of our university. Is there anything that about that makes you feel good inside? Special? Is that a
Yes.
significant
no doubt,
accomplishment for you?
No doubt about that. Yeah, I feel good about that. Although I didn't see it at the time, but sure, looking back at it, I feel good about that.
Have you stayed connected with the Black Alumni Association? They do their golf tournament each year. And
I'm connected with them, but I haven't associated with them directly in quite a while.
Was there anything that we hadn't covered, Orlando, that we should ask and we didn't, or anything we've left out? You had a pretty significant and varied career. I'll be sure you capture all of it.
Oh, I'd like to say to students when they go to Oklahoma State University, or any university, but in particular Oklahoma State, because that's my school, that when they go there, that they go there knowing what they want to do, or finding out very quickly what they want to do, and move in that direction. And if they're not going to be a doctor, then they're not going to be a doctor, but always make sure that they work toward a goal. And to athletes, I would always tell them to work toward a degree. I don't care if they're super football players, work toward that degree, because football is never guaranteed. No sport is guaranteed. I told that to a young man in my freshman year. No, his freshman year, I'm sorry. And I met him, he was out of Houston. And I said, what do you plan to do? He said, I'm a football player. I'm going to be a professional football player. And I said, young man, if I were you, I would make sure I get my degree. And I saw him about 6 or 7 years later, and he reminded me of that because he got hurt his junior year, but he got his degree. And he was teaching at Southern University in Houston, yeah. But he was a heck of a football player, but that didn't pan out. But he got his degree, and it allowed him to move on. If he hadn't gotten that degree, he would have fallen short somehow. He may have achieved, but he wouldn't have achieved at the level that he is now. So I tell kids to get that degree, because in playing a sport, the university is going to get their pound of flesh. So you better get yours.
Quid pro quo.
You better get yours.